Hi, we are back.
Hi.
Woo! I've got Daylin today. So if you guys have been watching, I've been doing a chatting with series, trying to get all the different people in my life that I know and love and give some of that to you. If you're enjoying this episode especially, please thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends. I am so excited to be able to continue to keep this conversation going. And like I said, my guest today is the amazing Daylin Laine. Hello, Daylin. She is a makeup artist and just overall sweetheart, which is why I'm just like in a tub of candy. And how are you doing today, Daylin?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as can be. I'm talking to Daylin.
Well, I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a good activity for a Tuesday, you know?
Yeah. Oh, super good. Super good. But yeah, so how have you been holding up? I mean, you've been just, you already work from home in some ways, so you kind of, but
Yeah. It's been interesting. I worked from home for many years. I work in ad tech full time and I freelance as a makeup artist. So right now my entire makeup career is on hold. The earliest job that I will be doing is in 2021, and truthfully, even then, I'm not quite sure what the future will hold for me in terms of what I do in this industry.
yeah. It's a very interesting time for makeup artists. I mean, my heart goes out to you. It's such an intimate practice.
Yeah.
You're already like having to like let someone, in their space, and you're one of the only people who I like almost get excited to let you put like mascara or eyeliner on me. Like, it's my least favorite thing is when somebody's like poking my eye. But Daylin has this like technique where she like almost like when you're getting your blood drawn, she's like, all right, I'm gonna count it. Ready, 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 and breathe, and then it's done. Like, I
You
don't
know,
know.
I have tried to curate certain techniques because I actually have a passing out condition called vasovagal syncope. So if I get too excited one way or another, my blood pressure plummets. It doesn't hit my heart. So in turn, I have tried to really learn how to be very generous with patience
Yeah.
and care with anybody who sits in my seat. So many models over the years have sat in my seat, both professional and starting up, and actors and actresses. And I have heard over the years so much that I am not like the normal makeup artist. I'm so nice, which is so refreshing to hear, but it kind of makes me sad that other artists maybe don't do that. I know sometimes they're strapped for time, but
Yeah. Well, you're the way that you are in your makeup is also the way that you are in life. Like, you're very detail oriented, but then I think it's funny because there may be people who have like more adept like techniques or whatever, but the application and the dedication that you put into your work, like the person that has it feels better after wearing it. So it like ends up looking better than if they had done the best job ever, and then the person just is insecure and they feel like they have been poked and prodded. Like, if you go on my website, a bajillion of the photo shoots I've done, I've had the opportunity to work with Daylin, and including my first ever like boudoir shoot years ago. And that was, you needed to have someone that really cared.
And that was awesome. That was kind of a long shoot. It was hard to get there, and it was such a fun, beautiful shoot. And honestly, you're still, I mean, still to this day, I'm always like, let's work together. You're still one of my favorites. Whenever I can work with you, it's such a pleasure. It's just so easy and awesome. I mean, it's just such a joy to always work with you and also just be around you. And also when I'm around you and Clay, it's even more awesome. So you guys are just a treasure of a pair.
Well, we still need to have a little double date evening, even if it's like this. But how did you, like, speaking of like just all the different work, like what brought you into the makeup industry? I mean, obviously you got the fierceness, but like what brought you?
So this is my first time in almost, I think it's 2.5 months that I've put on makeup. And as you know, I'm either full face or nothing, like not even skincare. I'm very good at being very lazy with my face. But I started really as a teenager. I was doing makeup on myself, and it got to a point where pretty much around my college years and very closely following when I got out of college and started working, I had friends who asked me to do makeup for them. They were modeling. They were actually one of my best friends to this day. She was kitting for Burlesque at the time. She was like an assistant. And she was doing some shoots. She invited me to do her makeup, and literally from that first shoot, that was it. I just started. And then a few years after that, a friend of mine, his friend was in town. She is a designer, and her makeup artist bailed last minute. They needed somebody. He recommended me without even knowing my work. And that was my first editorial, first published work. And it's really spiraled through there. So now still my what I love to do are darker aesthetically driven shoots and editorials, because editorials can be weird. Even though there's usually a certain narrative around them, there is a little bit more. I feel like when I've been hired for editorials, it's either super clean, super natural, like no makeup, or it's crazy. It's all out there. So I love those, but I still do a lot of bridal too.
Yeah, and you've done a lot of makeup work that uses like props and things. So like bugs and like, you know, little butterflies and things like that. Like, which is it's a very difficult balance, because like you have to adhese it and also like make the makeup work around the look.
Yeah.
And I mean, in a sense, I feel like all the work that you've done kind of focuses on an overall art direction. Like you're not just simply about the direct like beauty look. Like whenever I've worked with you, you always like ask the photographer, how are you shooting this? Like what kind of like post work are you going to do? What's the lighting? What's the vibe? Like, because if you're going to put all this work into it and it's shot in black and white, you're going to, you know, so it's really, I mean, just from working with you, the times I have, like, I started to think about like all those kinds of visuals in general, like the overall big picture, like literal.
Yeah.
But I mean, where does, when you get to work on like an editorial, I know you've worked with, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, Tartarus?
Tartarus, Vogue Italia, Unallied, Hot Punch. So a number of magazines now I've been in. I feel very lucky to have been in any of them.
Yeah. But when you work with these people, and if you're given the opportunity to collaborate with a photographer or like create an original look, like where does your like creative process start from that? Like how do you come up with it?
I think everybody works differently. It's funny. I have several friends who are also makeup artists who are also published, and I think truthfully all of us work somewhat differently. Some love total freedom, are just like, okay, tell me what the vibe is, that's it, that's all I need to know. For me, because I'm not the one creating the shoot, they're bringing me on, so there's clearly a look that's already started. There's a foundation. So it's so important for me to have a lookbook, which is essentially you know, either there's a Pinterest board or an actual PDF with all the details, like literal color schemes, what Pantone colors and whatnot are on there. So that's so important for me to have, so that I can properly lay out, what am I bringing? What does the model look like? What is her skin tone in terms of, you know, does she have a lot of acne? Like, is that normal when she took headshots? What is her hair like? You know, what is her upper body frame like? And then on top of it, what is the style of the shoot? So I truthfully hate going to shoots where they're like, do whatever you want, because I know if you let me do that, I'm not going to produce the best work.
Yeah.
I prefer to have direction, unless it's a for fun shoot. And the goal is have fun. If it gets published, cool. If not, cool. Otherwise, if it's one that's really for hire, that's for editorial work, I can't work any other way than to have proper direction. And I don't need them to tell me like what to do for makeup or what kind of look they're working on, just some sort of foundation.
It's interesting you bring up direction, because do you follow the makeup artist Katie Deno by any chance?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, she's a really interesting makeup artist, and she is really into a lot of like green and clean and beauty and all that stuff. And she works with Credo Beauty. Anyway, I was thinking about you recently because she actually directed like a a makeup job onto an actress via FaceTime. Like she like sent like the studio or whoever was doing the photo shoot like sent the actress a palette and then was like, okay, here's your makeup artist, and she like taught her how to do eyes through
That's
FaceTime.
awesome.
And I was thinking like you are so good at articulating that maybe that's something like you could do. I mean, I've seen photographers doing FaceTime photo shoots and things like that. Like you are very good at articulating. I feel like some makeup artists can be very quiet and they just do their thing, but I mean, it's something to consider. I mean,
Thank you. I am. I love teaching, and it's hard for me because I don't know if you know, but in New York, you don't have to be certified to actually practice makeup, and I am not certified. I'm a freelance, self-taught artist practicing for now, I think 12 or 13 years. So I follow all of the sanitization, sterilization
yeah,
procedures and whatnot. A lot of artists, especially freelance, self-taught, don't
yeah,
because they just don't know. It's
yeah,
not that they don't want to; they just really don't know.
yeah,
When you're in school, that's really what you're taught. You're taught application as well, but a lot of that comes with the job. It comes with
yeah. Being thrown in.
exactly. So I would love to teach. I love doing that so much, but I also think it's hard for me to commit to selling that right now because I feel like
The learning.
yeah, and people are also I think inundated with stress and financial woes, and I feel bad being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
makeup, which is a luxury, you
Well,
know."
I will tell you on my end that I actually have, and this isn't like all that uncommon right now, but a lot of agencies have reached out to their client, their roster, and have asked for what's like a kind of interesting conceit, but it's basically a reformatting of your resume. So, for instance, my agency asked me to list out all the equipment I have, all the locations that I can photograph that are within my reach in social distancing, and also asked me to list like, you know, any other talent assets. Like if I have photographer friends that have learned how to do things, you know, from a distance or via FaceTime or, you know, and I feel like makeup artists could start to get on different rosters because like I have a lot of friends, including myself, who are trying to learn how to reach the skill level of people like you know, who,
Yeah,
because we're basically having to be our own everything. Like I have to like,
hard.
you know, I had to film a audition for a national commercial, and I was like, what the hell am I doing?
That is very intimidating. Oh my God. Yeah, that's really hard. I mean, for of course, anyway, I'm happy to teach you at any time, but it's something that I didn't know that agencies were essentially maybe looking for that.
Yes,
So
you wouldn't be inundating people. You'd be inundating like you could essentially, I mean, I'm just wondering what the rate would be, but I feel like there is going to be a mobile makeup rate, and I'm putting it out there, but I feel like if a production is willing to allow people to do things, like what if we need a makeup consultation? Shouldn't that makeup artists get credited? Just putting it out there because I'm all about supporting all the different people that make me feel good from the inside out, and you're definitely one of those people. But interesting thought, just putting it out there.
yeah, no, I appreciate that is really appreciated and helpful to hear because I had been thinking of doing something like that,
Yeah.
but I didn't know when was a good time to maybe offer it, but maybe now is a good time.
Maybe, yeah, and just at least experimenting with it because I feel like if you can show that you can do it, like it just puts you on a list of all right, I'm ready to go, you know.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, it's tough because like you said, it's a very weird time, and like there's a lot of different ups and downs going on right now, and you know, a lot of that comes from this feeling of uncertainty. And I think that it's important still to find the strength in the fact that we do have to adapt at some point. And
Yeah.
and allow ourselves to feel and everything. But like, I know it's been giving me a lot of peace to just think about what I can do in this circumstance and how I can arm myself. And anybody who wants to know, I'm open for any questions anybody has, but I'm still like finding ways to work even if I'm not like fully making the money that I like right now. You know?
I'm curious, how are you holding up? Because you have your hands in so many different areas of the industry. So do you just feel it collectively all across the board, or are some parts actually doing okay? You know?
It's complicated because certain people want to muscle through it. I know that my husband had a great conversation with a production that he was supposed to shoot basically now, about like possibly still being able to do it, given the fact that actually indie film sets do tend to have like smaller amounts of people and tend to do things in a very different way than a big set would. And like, you know, that they're on top of reading the different SAG guidelines and union. For me, like I brought up in another episode that I was literally in the middle of like preparing a feature-length film script that would let me go to South America to meet members of my family. So bittersweetly, like that just like does not look like something I should really be thinking about. But there are like ebbs and flows, and there's some people who are hyper pessimistic, but like with reason, and then there are people who are hyper optimistic. And you know, a lot of things are in post-production, and there's some things that I'm currently creating in quarantine, taking advantage in ways that I was never expecting. But it's kind of forcing Clay and I especially to level up and realize like, we have this stuff, and we just have to look up how to, you know, convert to high res. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lot, but you know, it's, and throughout all this thing that's been happening, like you have been so constantly sweet and constantly checking up, and like, I mean, you've been super resourceful. You're definitely one of the people on my like speed dial of like, where can I get vegan cheese during
Yeah. I'm
like
trying to help wherever I can. And if it's like, you know, checking in on somebody, and I'm not perfect, and there are definitely some friends who I think I've checked in even less, you know, than normal, because I'm like, I know how they are. But I want to help, and I want to help directly people instead of, you know, organizations per se. That doesn't mean I'm not donating or helping organizations. I just want to make sure that people who I care about are cared for and, you know, aren't stranded somewhere, you know.
It's kind of like this idea that I had this dance teacher a while back told me that like, if you get like injured in the woods or something, like look around you to see what can heal you.
Yeah.
And I feel like there is an inundation of extreme philanthropy going on where people feel pressure to donate to like major charities. But I think that everyone needs to remember that do what you can. I mean, obviously a little goes a long way, but remember that there are also like a lot of celebrities and a lot of very big names that are already donating millions of dollars. And that it's less about the money and more about the manpower in order to provide the services that those charities can do. So in the meantime, all we can do is look out for the people that we know, especially your strong friends, because those are the ones who are secretly crumbling right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Just a little check-in like makes the world. I mean, when you texted me, I think I had like my 5th panic attack like that day, and you were like, if you need anything, let me know. And I was like, Daylin likes me.
Of course, I love you. I think you're amazing, and I know that you and I we think very similarly about things, and it's hard to want to help and want to be so active and know that you also have to take care of yourself and sometimes even limit the care that you give out. So I think it's important for people to remember that one of the best things that you can do right now is really to take care of yourself. And even if that's making sure that you're financially not even just stable, that you have some sort of you have a little bit extra right now, just in case things play out, you know, and stay like this for a while, or, you know, knock on wood, get worse.
Yeah.
It's important that you take care of yourself first. And that's not something to overlook. And I think a lot of people are quick to overlook.
Yeah. And it's a weird time, even for someone like me, with all these different things going on, because for the first time in a while, I'm not under the pressure cooker of the daily grind. So like I am forced to look at my home and like see what needs improvement. Like ask for things. Like my super has been amazing, helping my husband and I, because we're just asking very politely about like, oh, like this bothered us, and he's like, oh, this, like it. I mean, it's just like, why haven't we taken the time to do that before? I mean, the first 2 years of our marriage, we were just eating rice and beans and working like 10 hours a day. Like it was really bad.
Yeah, it's hard. And I have my partner Johnny is a firefighter, so I also am exposed to his world of things, being so in the weeds of everything. And it's just it's wild out there. I just want people to take care of themselves and to check in on people, and don't offer help if you can't do it. It's okay. It's enough to just check in and just think about you. But when you
thinking about you, that's
yeah,
like, that's enough.
yeah, that's so nice alone, you know. I can't even tell you how many, and it's okay, like for me, I'm so used to checking on my friends, but I can't even tell you how many friends I've checked in on and how many of them have not returned that. And that's okay. They kind of know that I'm the strong one, but they know that I'm there. And, you know, I try to talk to a good number of them once a week, and you make it work, but you have to let people know that they're not forgotten, that you still care about them.
Yeah, and I think you also do a great job of, there's like different info going around right now saying, how can you support small businesses? And I think that you kind of encapsulate that idea, because if you go on Daylin's stories on any given day, she's always sharing like everyone's posts in almost a way of just saying like, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool, look at this is my friend, I know this person, check out this aesthetic.
That is pretty much.
I mean, I'm just like, I'm guessing that's what you're saying in your head.
Yeah.
Like, every time that I show up on there, I cry. I'm like, I'm part of, like, the person before was like wearing like a monkey on his head with like something. And then it's like me. Like, so I think that little things like sharing people's work, even like just like the add to story or commenting on it, you do that, like that is like your bread and butter. So
yeah, I try. And I think even for, you know, we all have, I think you and I have a lot of friends in the industry, and also just artistic friends, you know, that is their career. They're artists of whatever the nature. And sometimes though, it's nice for people to just, even if they're not an artist, you just comment, you just show some attention. I don't think anybody out there really hates getting attention all of the time. Everybody wants to feel needed and loved and simply liked. You know, you want to feel like, oh, somebody is out there looking at me. Oh, that's nice, you know?
Yeah. So, you feel that you've been seen and acknowledged, and especially now when the physical amount of that, you know, like this is kind of my way of making sure that my wits stay about me and that I'm still able to interact with people, because if we're all just like this inside our little holes this whole time, we're not, I mean, even, you know, I'm just like really lucky to have people like you in my life that can share all sorts of knowledge and know-how and struggle and learning. And but yeah, on that note, do you have a message that you want to send out to the universe today?
Please stop taking the good ones. Just leave the good ones on this planet.
I know.
Take some of the bad ones, maybe.
I can think of a few.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say anything because I don't want karma to strike me down.
We never want karma to come back around. So, but definitely stop taking the good ones. And I think something that I've been trying to practice the last few months, and some days I'm really good at, some days I brutally fail, is don't be on social media too much. It's so easy to not only overwhelm yourself with information, but then on top of it, to clog your brain with all the information, good, bad, right, wrong. It's just so easy to fuel that fire of not even curiosity, just I need to know, and it's never ending, and maybe this article is wrong, maybe this one is right, who knows, maybe they're half right, you know. Take a breather, step away, get off your phone. Even if you don't like reading, that's okay. Make some food, learn how to plant, like, you know, simple things that a lot of people nowadays collectively in all age groups don't do. And it's easier said than done, of course, but try, you know, have patience with yourself and try, and stop taking the good ones.
Stop taking the good ones. The ones that, like, you know, are trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, if that's going to keep happening, which please don't, then can we all just like agree that we'll just like pick up the baton from whoever dropped it and just keep. But thank you so much for coming on. I think that people are going to just love having your energy around, and follow Daylin. I'll put all her information in the link in description. And, you know, remember your beauty friends, even if you can't see them right now, because they need you. Trust. All right.
And don't forget to wash your hands and wear sunscreen if you go out for walks.
Always. I mean, I always wear sunscreen. I'm wearing sunscreen right now.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a blast.
I love you, Daylin.
Love you.
Stop taking all the good ones away from the planet.